So today I want to talk about giving influencers and creators money, whether that be through just donating to their PayPal or signing up for their YouTube channel memberships, their Patreon page, subscribing to their Twitch channel, buying products that they promote through sponsorships and affiliate links, because I don't think these things are inherently problematic, but problems can come up depending on like how and why you're donating to them. And also, unfortunately, there are creators who don't have the best intentions when it comes to asking for money, and a lot of them kind of abuse, I think, the kindness and idolization that they know their followers have for them. First of all, I love that there are so many different ways now that you can support creators you enjoy. When it comes to like smaller creators, a lot of them produce great high quality content, but their channels just really haven't picked up speed yet, so they're not making any money from it. They go and create a Patreon that allows them to continue making free content on YouTube or whatever other social media platform. I'm really going to talk about YouTube in this video because that's the one that I am on the most, but for the majority of what I'm saying, pretty much every other platform is relevant too. But with YouTube specifically, like the AdSense revenue that we get, it fluctuates a ton. It's a really, really unstable form of income, and that's not a problem if you have 9 million followers and are getting millions of views a month. But for people who have less, it can fluctuate so much. So I really understand creators wanting to have a more stable form of income through sponsorships or Patreon, something like that. Also, it's great for creators that post content that usually gets demonetized. Like, I watch a lot of true crime YouTubers, and they really aren't making that much AdSense because YouTube doesn't like that kind of content. For example, Eleanor Neal is a popular true crime creator with 1.5 million subscribers, and last month she got 13.5 million views on her channel. If she made monetizable content, my estimation is she probably in that one single month would have made like $40,000 to $80,000, but she's probably making hardly any of that. So it's great that like she does YouTube channel membership, she does sponsorships in most, if not all, of her videos, and I think that's great because it's like she's producing all this content and wouldn't be able to profit off of it on all the time that she spends on it if she could only rely on AdSense that she probably doesn't get much of. I remember just only a couple years ago, I feel like you were kind of considered a sellout if you did a lot of sponsorships, or sometimes even just like one or two. And slowly the consensus on that has kind of shifted, and I think that's a really good thing. Personally, I don't even care. Like, if I'm watching somebody who I know 100% is making a ton of money off of just their AdSense revenue alone, I don't care if they do sponsorships because it's so easy to skip them. You just press the L button if you're on desktop, press the right side of the screen if you're on mobile. Like, it just really doesn't affect the viewer's life at all. Of course, if they're like promoting shady things, that's totally different. But there's like YouTube super chats. You can donate to people and get your message more seen when they're doing live streams. What else? I don't know. There's a ton of things, but basically, like, I definitely don't have a problem with donating to somebody, getting nothing in return. Maybe just giving them money on PayPal, or like, maybe a lot of people do Patreon. They put extra content on there, so it's like you're kind of, in a sense, you're donating to them, but really you're just paying for like extra content. And people might do that partially because they want that extra content, partially because they want to support the creator. Don't have a problem with that in and of itself. But let's get into some of the problems that I have with some of the ways that creators go about this, some shady things that they can do, and just other problems I have. So one of the most concerning things I've seen is like when a creator will get in some kind of controversy around, for example, like say they had a Patreon page and they said, if you pay this much, you're gonna get this, and that, and then they didn't follow through on any of that, so it was kind of like everyone got ripped off. They weren't getting what they paid for. And then in some, like, I honestly don't have any examples of this. I know I've seen it, but I can't remember where, so I can't find like common examples. But like I've definitely seen comments from people who had supported them financially being like really upset and disappointed, understandably, but specifically because they didn't have that much money. So they were giving this creator money when they didn't have when they like weren't remotely financially stable or in a comfortable financial place. And that's really alarming to me, especially when I can tell that the creator is making a lot of money, because let me tell you, people who aren't YouTubers, from what I've seen, are not good at guessing how much somebody makes. But since I do YouTube, this is my full-time job, I can I could take I think a pretty good guess. But for example, I've seen many people thinking that a creator with like, I don't know, 15 to 25,000 subscribers is making a lot of money. And yeah, YouTube money is dependent on views, not subscribers, but still, like, if you're getting enough views to making a ton of money, you would have more than 15,000 subscribers, because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you'd never be making a ton of money from AdSense only having a couple 10,000 subscribers. But I've also seen people thinking that somebody with like 900,000 needs financial support, and while some people who maybe got those followers like a long time ago and then they stopped posting, or they just became less active, or they switched their content, no one likes their stuff anymore, like, sure, they can be not making a lot of money, but still, like, they're probably okay. But like, for the most part, you can also kind of tell, even if you don't know how much money someone's making, just looking at like their background, what they wear, what, like, if they vlog, if they show where they go shopping, whatever, to determine whether they really need your charitability. So if you're making a comfortable income, like, of course, give your money to whoever you want, but if you're like a broke college student, you don't need to be financially supporting YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of subscribers who are getting millions of views a month. Like, those people are doing completely fine. If you're getting over 1 million views a month, you're probably making a good income if it's monetized, of course. If it's over 10 minutes, it depends on a ton of stuff, but like, don't be giving your money to people who get millions and millions of views thinking that they need your $2 a month on Patreon. Like, if that money is probably much more valuable to you than it is to them. If your favorite influencer comes out with a clothing line and you really want to support them by buying one of their sweatshirts, like, if you want the sweatshirt, buy the sweatshirt. But if you just want the sweatshirt because you want to support them, like, they'll be fine, I promise, with the couple bucks that they make from you buying the sweatshirt. I mean, you don't need to feel guilty about not supporting them. I know this is something mainly younger people probably deal with, feeling guilty about not supporting their favorite creators that they look up to. My audience really isn't young people at all. Pretty much no one under the age of 18 watches me. But like, if you're a parent that watches me, let your kids know about this stuff. I really think I feel like there should be some sort of like education on social media and how to navigate just dealing with social media, because a lot of parents didn't have social media, don't know anything about it. And there's just so many ways that social media can negatively affect like the younger generations, people who are in their teens and tweens right now. I wish there was like some kind of education on it. I don't know. I don't mean like in school we need to have a class on how to like donate to influencers. I mean, I don't really know what I'm saying, but like, I feel like it's worth it. I mean, I'm not a parent, so you should definitely listen to my parenting advice, but like, I feel like parents these days, if your kid is on social media, like, you should be trying to learn about a little bit about it, so you can kind of try to educate your kids so they're not being put in harm's way or feeling like they need to spend their money or your money on all these influencers, different products. Anyways, I think it's especially gross when creators beg for money. This seems to be a fun thing for entitled Twitch streamers to do. That's mainly where I've heard about it happening. To their defense, I do think most people would consider Twitch streaming to be one of the most mentally challenging and labor-intensive jobs of our era, so I totally understand these creators lecturing their viewers about how disrespectful it is to view their free content without voluntarily donating. Just kidding. But I don't know a lot about Twitch, but basically you can either follow or subscribe to somebody. If you follow them, you can still view their content for free, but if you want to financially support them, you can subscribe, and then you're giving them $5 a month, or it can be more, but for most people it's $5. So now I'll show a few clips of people begging for money. The first of which is somebody who had, when she did this, like 26 million followers on Instagram, so she's like super rich. I don't know about the other ones, but they're kind of entertaining clips.
All right, guys, let's stay focused. We're getting distracted with numbers here. 500 subs. We got to get to 500 subs. It's the only way I'm committing to a stream schedule. We're at 187.
A sub is $5. At maximum, in whatever your currency is, it's maybe $10. And it doesn't matter how broke you are. If you have time to watch Twitch, you have $10, truly. If you don't have $10, you probably don't have time to watch Twitch because you should be working. You should be trying to earn money. It's not a ton. It's not like a ton of money. So being like, I'm broke, I can't afford to sub, that doesn't really track. What you mean to say is, I'm so irresponsible with my money, I can't support the entertainment that I enjoy.
How did my whole speech about how I need subs and to keep the stream going, if you like the content, blah, 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 how that results in 0 subs? How are you have hours of time to watch me and not $5? Because it's like people just really they really don't respect me as a content creator. I haven't got a donation or a sub for an hour. What the
So when it comes to just straight up donations, some people, I feel like they just can't help themselves. They have to do sketchy stuff. An example of this is animal rights activist James Aspey, who's most known for taking a year of silence to raise awareness about animal cruelty. About 2 months ago, I saw a video from Catherine Klein talking about how James got into some hot water after asking people for donations. It's a super odd situation. Like, I think you'll be amused because it's just weird. In his response to the criticism, where he acts like he is the newest victim to cancel culture, this is how he explains what happened. So these are his words, okay? He says that he had told his followers that he needed money urgently. He had an opportunity come up that he believed he needed to take. But he says that he never told anyone specifically what he was going to do with the money because he wasn't ready to share that information with hundreds of thousands of people. He needed more information himself. He needed to be able to articulate it better. And other reasons he's not going to mention because he doesn't have to mention every detail of his life to you. But at the same time, he said that when he was asked about what he needed the money for, he told people that it was for ending the animal holocaust. And he also said that he never said it was for ending the animal holocaust, so we've got a real clear story going on here, as you can see. I figured I should clarify for those of you who don't know, the animal holocaust is a term that some vegans use, which basically just means factory farming, animal agriculture, using animals for food, etc. It's not a term that all of us agree with though, but I just thought I'd mention that in case some of you didn't know what that meant. So what did he do with the couple $1,000s he says he received, as well as the money he got from selling his only asset, which was his van, and giving basically every single dollar of his life savings to this thing that he needed money urgently for? Well, he invested all of it into one single form of cryptocurrency called Energy Web Token, which his buddy Randy introduced him to. So when people found out that he needed other people's money urgently so he could invest it into cryptocurrency, as you could imagine, they were a bit upset. Now, it does seem to me that his reason for doing this was because his friend Randy convinced him that this was just a great idea that he needed to do ASAP, and like, if he invested all the money that he could into this, and it would just multiply so much, and he'd be able to use all this new money that he had for animal activism. I don't think like it was done for selfish reasons. Honestly, like I do think his intentions were kind of good, but I can't also help question the intentions of somebody who won't tell their fans, their followers, why they need the money, but still think people should donate to them. Like, if you need more information yourself about this thing that you need the money for, maybe it's a good idea to wait until you actually understand it before getting other people to give you their money. And also him acting like other people, or people don't need to know the other reasons because it's his life. They don't need to know every detail of his life. Like, when you're asking people for money, that is their life too. So I think that's kind of ridiculous. One interesting character who has caused some controversy related to the antics around her Patreon page is somebody who was an anti-MLM creator. MLM stands for multi-level marketing. If you don't know, it's basically like a business model where you sell products for a company and then you can also recruit other people into the company to sell products as well. Some people call them pyramid schemes. You might know like Avon, Herbalife, doTERRA, Young Living, those are examples of MLMs, but basically she was an anti-MLM creator because MLMs are, in my opinion, as someone who is anti-MLM, very unethical, harmful, predatory business models, and so she turned from being an anti-MLM creator to being pro-MLM and joining an MLM called Monate. Her channel name is Kimberleia, and there has been so much drama and controversy around a ton of different things that she's done, and there was a video that a creator called Cruel World Happy Mind put out. That was like 2.5 hours long that went over kind of the whole entire situation. She took it down. I was gonna rewatch that video and use it for this video, so I'm unfortunately gonna have to go by memory because there's been a ton of other people who have made videos about her, but like most of them aren't talking about the Patreon situation, and I know Cruel World Happy Minds video did, but I can't watch it, so fortunately I'm gonna have to go by memory, and so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I definitely could misremember something, and if you know that I did, please let me know, and if I see the comment, I'll like do something. I don't know. Basically, since she made anti-MLM content, her viewers and the people who supported her on her Patreon page were pretty much just people who enjoyed anti-MLM content and supported that message. But then very quickly she went from being anti-MLM to being like pro-MLM and criticizing the anti-MLM community, which isn't a problem in itself. Like, you can be in a community and criticize certain things that go on in a community. Like, I could sit here and make a video criticizing the commentary community, but she did it in a way that it was more like criticizing every single person who is in the anti-MLM community. Like, the entire thing is bad, everyone is so toxic, everyone is bullying. It's kind of just like a overgeneralization. And of course, when your followers are all in this community and you're sitting there just saying that they are all bad people who are bullying, that's kind of like at least the vibe that a lot of people got from what she said. It's definitely not verbatim, you know, this is like a couple months ago, I'm just going off memory, but but it can definitely turn people off and make people feel really confused about, like, were her values in the past really what she made them seem? Because it was such a complete 180 turn, especially because when you talk about the topics of like MLM versus anti-MLM, the reason, like I said, that people are anti-MLM is because these businesses and the business models are predatory, and they really harm the majority of the people who are in the MLMs. And so people who make this kind of content are trying to stand up for these people and educate the public on these horrible businesses. And so when you go from like being aware of all these things that these businesses do, be aware of the fact that 99% of people in MLMs lose money, and then you're just like, oh, actually, you guys who think that are all terrible people, and I'm joining an MLM. It makes it seem like what you promoted was not actually what you believed, especially when Kimberly herself said that she started making anti-MLM content because she saw other creators or a creator making it and getting a lot of views. So people felt really let down and misled by her. People who had supported her financially felt like they had given their money to someone who was lying and wasn't actually like didn't have the values, the morals, the ethics that she pretended to have. The lesson I feel like can be learned from that is that you never really know how honest and upfront the people you follow are being, and they can change, and change isn't always a bad thing, but you can change for the worse. Like, people can change in a way that makes you respect them less, and if you're gonna like donate to them and support them financially, you have to be willing to acknowledge and know that in the future they could do something that you really, really strongly disagree with, and you may regret giving them money. That's the same with pretty much everything in life, but I think the difference is that when it comes to influencers, it can feel a lot more personal because of the parasocial relationship that is formed, especially on like a platform like Patreon. It's kind of like a small community of people who are actually really passionate about this one creator and their content. So you can form kind of like more of this close personal relationship. That makes it hurt a lot more when they turn out to not be who you thought they were. And if you compare that to like, oh, you love shopping at this one store, and then they turn out to employ really harmful business practices, you don't want to support them anymore. That's kind of different. You don't feel like, I mean, you might have liked the store, but it's not the same like personal effect, if that makes sense. And then we have influencers who want their followers to fund their lifestyles so they don't have to get a job and can just travel and be free spirits, like husband and wife duo Kat and Ellie from the Instagram account Another Beautiful Day Official. Ready to Glare has some videos on them called The Most Entitled Influencer Couple and The Influencer Who Crowdfunded a Vacation Just Got Worse, if you want to check those out. Basically, this couple wanted to go on a tandem bike trip from Germany to Mauritania and West Africa, but didn't have the money. According to the article referenced in Ready to Glare's video, the couple said, "Some will just tell us to get jobs like everyone else and stop begging. But when you have the impact we do on others' lives, getting a job is not an option. We could model and make fast money, but we don't want to advertise consumerism. A normal job at this point would be detrimental. So the guy's mom, who works 2 jobs, offered to financially support them, and of course they also asked their followers on Instagram for money, but don't worry, it's all for a good cause, raising awareness about mental health. I'm fairly certain that Instagrammers going for bike rides has been the main thing that has led to people being more educated on mental health issues today compared to a few decades ago, so I think it's great. Their post that really helped me, like for example on February 24th, they posted "No need to stress," and immediately I was like, whoa, like now I'm really educated on stress and know a lot about it, and also like don't have any stress anymore at all. So I think it's really cool what they're doing. No, but really their content has nothing to do with mental health awareness. Like I looked through a couple of their posts, their captions, and it did not educate me on anything related to mental health issues. And even if it did, still get a job. Like, you have 40,000 followers on Instagram. They're definitely getting like brands reaching out to them, wanting them to promote products. Of course they said they don't want to promote consumerism, but like there's got to be brands reaching out to them who produce products that are actually like relevant to their lives and to their content, like camping equipment. They go camping. Like, why couldn't they do that? Even if they didn't want to promote any products, why couldn't they have gotten jobs as cashiers before they went on this trip, like over a year ago, you know, before the pandemic, before a lot of people started losing their jobs? They could have just like been cashiers at grocery stores, or as checking out people who are buying food, promoting consumerism too. I don't know, maybe it is to them. It's just ridiculous and entitled. I mean, please don't give your money to people who need it because they just think they're above working. You know, it's not like they're homeless and they struggle to get a job because they don't have a permanent address or something like that. Like, they could easily make money. If you have 40,000 followers on Instagram, you can easily do a sponsorship. Like, if you really need money, okay, it's not that hard. I got like my first sponsorship offer when I had less than 1,000 followers, and it was for a flashlight, so I was like, no. But still, like, they're getting sponsorship offers. They don't need your money. Next, sponsorships. I still can't believe there are people doing undisclosed sponsorships in 2021, but at the same time, I can 100% believe that there's still people doing undisclosed sponsorships in 2021, because like, if influencers didn't do shady stuff, I wouldn't be making this kind of content, would I? So I watched a video from a creator called Blue MJ where she talks about a popular skincare YouTuber called Hiram and offers some criticism on his content. And one of the things she talks about is that he has done undisclosed sponsorships.
And you'll notice that there is a bit of a lack of transparency in the way that Hiram does things, because he will mention his affiliate links giving him a percentage of profit, but he will not talk about the sponsorships or the brands that are paying him to promote their product, which is on top of the affiliate links. And I'm not sure why he doesn't mention it. Probably because it would ruin the illusion that these are coming from a place of concern, like these products are actually genuinely something that he loves or uses. They might be in some cases, but for the most part, he is paid. He has a sponsorship with CeraVe, at least last year he did. And so, for example, in Summer McKeen's video where he's critiquing her skincare, he mentions that he prefers CeraVe over Cetaphil, and that is something that he was paid to say, and he doesn't disclose that. And I don't like that, because the viewer doesn't understand that there's bias.
Not disclosing sponsorships is illegal, but I don't think there's ever been any consequences to anyone who's done this, besides some get called out for it. So it's like, why not just do it? You know, I feel like that's the mindset that a lot of these people who do that have. I also recently watched a video from Smokey Glow called The Bizarre World of Influencer Brand Trips, and in it she talks about how the creators who went on these trips to like Fiji or the Bahamas or wherever, which were paid for by the brands, usually kind of like makeup brands, I think, and they would sometimes receive like a suitcase full of makeup from this product that they could just take and use. And though they weren't sponsored, in the future when they were using these products, it wasn't a sponsored product, so they didn't have to disclose it. The influencers probably felt kind of indebted to these brands who had just taken them on a vacation that was thousands of dollars out of these brands' pockets, given them probably hundreds, probably thousands of dollars worth of makeup too. And so they would feel maybe like they had to talk positively about these products, and they would have to talk about them more than they maybe wanted to, even if they didn't really like the products or didn't use them that much. Because of what the brand did for them, they felt like they had to do this or that. And so that's another thing that I think is kind of interesting, because it's kind of like a way of brands getting around influencers having to say that, oh, this is sponsored by whatever brand, and it seems more genuine and authentic to the viewers when they're just promoting a product and they're not saying that it's sponsored, you know. So it's important to be aware of what people are promoting in videos these days, even if there's no sign of a sponsorship, because really you just can't trust anyone. And so that's what I'm going to end the video on. Like, don't trust anyone ever, except me, of course. But yeah, those are all the things that I wanted to talk about overall. I mean, just be really conscious about who you're giving your money to, what they stand for. Know that they could change, they could be not who they say they are, and you don't need to give people money. You shouldn't feel guilty if you can't afford to, even if you can't afford to, if you don't want to, if you want to keep your money to yourself, if you don't want to buy every merch product that an influencer you like puts out. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with that at all. So that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts down below, of course.